meeting on August 13, 2024 in the Linda Hart Lab Chambers of City Hall. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent reflection for those serving and protecting our
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Beth Gilman, present. Margaret Phillips,
Present.
Richard Morgan,
Here.
Kelly Gangle, here. Pat Hovis, here. Jerry Trolley, Kathy King.
Here. Thank you. Council, you previously received the July 23rd, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam President, I move for approval of the minutes from July 23rd, 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trolley. I have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Trolley to approve the July 23, 2024 regular meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. The chair notes that certification has been made regarding compliance with the rules and notifications of this meeting. We have no guest presentation, public comment. Mayor second.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of Council, Mr. Carl Coble. I, Mayor Michael Snyder, am filing a complaint with City Council, the legislative body for the City of Port Clinton, against Civil Service Commission Chairman Carl Coble, City of Port Clinton, State of Ohio, Ottawa County, stating that from March 19, 2024 through August 1st, 2024, Carl Coble, in the performance of his official duties as Civil Service Commission Chairman, committed malfeasance, neglect of duty, and other violations specifically outlined in the following. 1. Carl Coble, Civil Service Commission Chairman, accepted an appeal filed by Kent Johnson at a public Civil Service Commission meeting held on February 1st, 2024. The Civil Service Commission appointed Benjamin, help me out, thank you, as the hearing administrator to preside over Mr. Johnson's appeal, ruling on objections and preparing a report of his findings to the Civil Service Commission to review and either agree with, disagree with, or amend the findings. 2, the hearing administrator initially advised the Civil Service Commission members that conflict of interest can occur in cases like this, and if any commissioner feels they have a conflict of interest, the best course of action would be to recuse themselves from the case. 3, Carl Coble is good friends with Kent Johnson and his family. His son is a volunteer firefighter, worked for Kent Johnson at the Port Clinton Fire Department, and is a good friend with Kent Johnson and his family. Carl Coble was advised of the potential conflict, but chose not to recuse himself from the hearing Kent Johnson's appeal. On March 19, 2024, Carl Coble made it a point to have a friendly conversation with Kent Johnson, his family and supporters, prior to commencement of the hearing and during breaks. 5, on March 19, 2024, Carl Coble scowled and shook his head at Rebecca Husky with his arms crossed upon his chest while she provided testimony against Kent Johnson. Mr. Coble also fell asleep multiple times during Ms. Husky's testimony. On April 6th, on April 11, 2024, Carl Coble scowled and shook his head at Amanda Reese, the investigator in the case, while she provided testimony that Kent Johnson committed sexual harassment against Rebecca Husky when he sent Ms. Husky inappropriate text message. Mr. Coble also fell asleep multiple times during Ms. Reese's testimony. 7, on April 11, 2024, Carl Coble made it a big show to made a big show of approaching and sitting with the Johnson family, close friends and supporters during one of the breaks. Mr. Coble apologized for brushing up against one of Johnson's supporters and said sarcastically, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to brush up against you. Don't want to be accused of sexual harassment." Mr. Coble laughed, as did Johnson supporters, mocking the allegations of sexual harassment Rebecca Husky made against Kent Johnson. 8. On June 14th, 2024, Carl Coble was admonished by the hearing administrator for continuous outbursts and inappropriate behavior during the hearing. 9. On July 10th, 2024, the hearing concluded, but for written closing arguments, and all parties were advised that a transcript will be prepared prior to closing arguments being done. Carl Coble made it a point to state that he wanted a copy of the transcript so he could review Rebecca Husky's testimony. 10. Carl Coble has vocally supported Kent Johnson in the community and has been overheard speaking about the case at meetings and at restaurants during the presidency of these hearings. Mr. Coble was overheard stating that he didn't see anything wrong with the text messages and thought that Rebecca Husky was lying. 11. On July 28, 2024, Mr. Johnson was indicted on 10 counts of felony and misdemeanor charges by the Ottawa County Grand Jury, and this information was posted on the Chandra Law Firm Facebook page. Mr. Coble took it upon himself to publicly comment, "It's all a he said, she said," on the post. 12. On August 1st, 2024, Carl Coble spoke with the hearing administrator to discuss the comments he made on Facebook. Mr. Coble refused to recuse himself from the case or resign from the Civil Service Commission, stating, "I'm not a quitter." Mr. Coble, would you care to comment on these charges?
Well, yes, I would. I thank you, Michael. I'm sorry that you didn't see fit to contact me before you sent the letter. I'll start with issue number 1. I was invited to attend this hearing as a member of the Civil Service Commission, and was told that and we would make a determination whether or not the punishment for Kent Johnson was just or fair. The hearing administrator is from Columbus, Ben Albrecht. And I don't recall ever having an argument with him during the case. I've asked questions, and because I've asked, they say, "Don't ask questions here." Well, I'm trying to find out what's going on. Why can't I ask questions? And that's what I asked him, and I didn't get an answer. As far as being a good friend of Kent Johnson, I'm a good friend of almost everybody in this room. At one time or another, we've had discussions. Kent Johnson and I started back when I worked with the health department, and for 17 years with the health department, we did joint house inspections where it was required. That's how I know him. As a member of the Red Cross disaster response team, I see him in action when we go out and respond to fires in Sandusky and Ottawa County, not Sandusky County, but we do both count, my wife and I. That's our friendship. I'm sorry, I don't call that a close friendship. I call that an acquaintance, which I have with all of you people. There's a difference between a bonding friendship. We don't socialize together. We don't communicate. David and I, my son, we never mentioned this case at all until I got this letter on August 6th, making me feel like I'm a criminal because he's my son. I can't help he's my son. I'm very proud of him. He's with the fire department. He's doing a good job. I think he's doing a good job anyway. And if it's wrong to be proud of your child when he's doing something good, I'm guilty. I will admit that. But I don't let that stand between my feelings of this case and We haven't even talked about it. That's how close it is for us. Mike, you got a lot of these complaints about my sleeping. I did not sleep one wink during this hearing, any hearing. Now, I have lightheadedness from my medication, and my doctor said when the room starts to spin, close your eyes until it stops. I do that. When Rebecca was testifying, she wore a very loud outfit, and she was twitching around in the chair like being a hot wire. And it was making me dizzy, so I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, that's what my doctor told me to do when I get lightheaded. But I never once slept during any of these hearings. You can ask any of the commissioners. If you would have asked me about that before, Mike could have explained it before you made a big point out of it. As far as sitting with the family, I sat with Amy Drummer once out of all these hearings. I've known Amy Drummer for 30-some years, and we talked. I've never once talked to Kent Johnson or any member of his family except the very first day before the hearings started. I went up to Trevor and asked him a question about his dog. I didn't know that would be a crime. I didn't know that would be wrong to ask, how's your dog doing? But the prosecutor made a big issue about me talking to his family. But that's what it was about, his dog. I don't think his dog has anything to do with the case at hand. That's my point. I wish somebody would have talked to me about these issues before it was publicized that I'm this big villain. For $1 a year, it isn't worth it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Koval. At this time, I've made my decision to remove Carl Koval as Civil Service Commission Chairman, and I would ask for City Council's blessing.
Madam President,
Yes, yes.
I make a motion to ratify the mayor's decision to remove Carl Koval from the Civil Service Commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Chulman. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by,
Richard
oh,
Morgan.
I'm sorry.
Am I allowed to ask some questions? Okay, that's fine.
I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Mr. Trolley, to ratify the mayor's decision. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Pat Hovis?
Yes.
Kelly Gangel?
Yes.
Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yes.
Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Kathy King?
Yes.
Thank you. By a vote of 7-0, council ratifies the mayor's decision.
I just want to thank you. I see that in the city of Port Clinton, it's either my way or no way. Thank you.
Any further public comment?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to executive officer reports. Council, there's a second read for ordinance 14-24. Administration has asked that it be passed on its second reading if council so chooses due to time sensitive nature. It was discussed at the last council meeting what the ordinance was. Also, there's a first reading on ordinance 15-24, will not be assigned to a committee. Asked that it be passed on its first reading as it is time sensitive. And the acting chief is here if anyone has any questions on either of those when we get to that point. Remember to take your public records training and to do the fraud training that is due by September 28th. That has to be done this year by September 28th. It's about 10 minutes long. If you need the link again, you can get it from Mrs. Wooster-Henry. So that's all I have. Move on to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. I wasn't expecting that quickly. Just a quick reminder that next week on Wednesday and Thursday is Bash at the Bay over at Put in Bay. The town will be full. From a lodging standpoint, it'll be the first 2 days all summer long that nearly everything is occupied. So just be mindful. And it's amazing that Jelly Roll and Hardy are performing. For a fat guy like me, Jelly Roll and Hardee's are two different things. Those of you that are laughing know what I'm talking about. Very good. Very good. On that same note, we, the city, found out, much like most of the citizens in Fort Clinton, that the State Road 2 163 interchange right here by City Hall will be closed beginning at 10 a.m. on Sunday the 18th, which is this coming Sunday.
I think it's PM.
Yeah.
PM.
That's what I said, 10 p.m., thank you. 10 p.m., that's what it says here, 10 p.m. on Sunday the 18th, and then reopen at 6 a.m. on Friday the 23rd, right in the middle of the busiest week of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reminder that PC Day at Fifth Third Field is going to be on Sunday the 25th. If you still need tickets, 419-725-4367. Again, 419-725-4367. There is a section blocked off for residents of Port Clinton, but it's not required that you sit in that specific section. So please call. We've got the high school marching band performing the national anthem. VFW is going to be the color guard. The kids from a local daycare are going to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Several other things, including Mr. Colston, who's going to throw out the first pitch and try not to hit the backstop while he does it. He's been practicing. This Saturday, the 17th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the 6th Annual Lighthouse Festival at Waterworks Park. In conjunction with that, at 2 p.m., the United Way is having their incredible rubber duck race. It's still not too late to get your rubber ducks ordered. Just Google United Way, Ottawa County Incredible Rubber Duck Race, or some combination thereof, and that will get you to the website to order your ducks. Again, that will take place at 2 p.m. at Derby Pond. Believe it or not, school begins next Wednesday, the 21st, so watch for the school buses in our community. Curbside pickup is, as a reminder, the second Monday of each month. The second Monday of each month. The second Monday of each month. Not the third Friday or anyways, the second Monday of each month. Put your limbs at the curb. Crews will go from the west end of the town to the east. And unfortunately, if they're not out there and they passed you, they're not coming back. Likewise, please keep the clippings to less than 6 feet in length and no wider than 6 inches in diameter. Our equipment can't handle anything.
It's 3.
Oh, sorry?
It's 3.
Okay.
You said 4, you said 6.
Oh, well, 6 feet. Okay, 6 feet in length and 3 inches in diameter. I'm glad I wrote these things down. And finally, last week the city received a call from Nancy Green on East 3rd Street. Nancy is a wonderful lady. She and her son, adult son now, years ago, planted a pine tree in their boulevard. It's not the biggest, but it probably has the most heart. She has graciously donated that to the city for the Christmas tree. Luke Johnson went out, took a look at it. Again, it's in stature, it's not massive, but it means a whole heck of a lot to the Green family. It's kind of outgrown the tree space. The options were to just get rid of it or give it to a good cause. So if you want to stop by and see the tree, it's in the boulevard at 321 East 3rd Street. And again, we want to thank the Green family for their contribution to the city. With that, Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for the mayor?
I have 2 questions. Can I go?
I was just about to open my mouth.
What days are the Put-in-Bay Bash? What days are those?
Next Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, and the intersection out here is going to be closed. Is it the Perry Street still open, or just the
The
intersection?
parachute will be open, just the getting on and off of Route 2.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, your turn.
I gave you the floor.
Take it back, Jerry.
No, I have nothing tonight. Yeah, yeah.
Is brush cleanup the first Monday?
The second Monday.
Thank you.
Does it start on the east side?
It's Labor Day.
Yeah.
That's true.
Thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Velo, the auditor's report. Now.
Thank you, Madam President. Council, I'm pleased to report that the city's urban forestry grant agreement funded by the Inflation Reduction Act over at the U.S. Forest Service and American Forest has been approved and is expected any day for signature for the grant agreement itself. You'll recall that the Forest Service announced back in September that the city's application was selected and fully funded at $959,000. And that grant will help establish a much-needed tree trimming and removal program, but more importantly, a new tree planting program that will last for years to come. And the grant period is 4 years. The city anticipates over 1/3 or over $350,000 will be programmed over the next 12 months, improving the city's tree canopy. The city's never enjoyed this level of financial resources for its tree program before, so we're especially excited to kick this off, this incredible project. Mr. Chrisman will be the project administrator, working closely with Mr. Colson, myself, and the tree commission to implement the project. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I had two more things too.
Is that 959, is that for the whole 4 years, or is that like?
No, the total is $950,000.
Okay, yeah, okay, I was just making sure.
Yeah, $959,000 over the 4 years.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Thanks. On to property maintenance. I discussed with the law director, the safety service director, and the mayor, and I'm pleased to share that Mr. Paul Chrisman will fill the role of property maintenance officer for the city of Fort Clinton. As you know, community development falls within the job description of his current employee as the economic development coordinator. I can think of no pressing community development need greater today than addressing chronic property issues, the appearance of blight in some of our neighborhoods, but also in downtown and select corridors across the city, taking necessary action to hold property owners, many of whom are absent property owners, accountable for the disrepair and regular conditions at these properties. We all know that even really small properties with really big problems impact really great, otherwise great neighborhoods, pristine neighborhoods across our community. And there are really large properties we all know about that have troubled our community for years. So, as you know, the property maintenance officer position has been vacant. I know Paul's consulted with the city of Sandusky on best practices. And I know Paul will be excellent, and along with the law director, improvements will take place in short order. And I know Mr. Chrisman and Mrs. Shanker will be effective and fair in enforcing the city's exterior property maintenance code. Last item is on CHIP, which some of you may recall is the Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program. So for many years, the city of Fort Clinton administered locally the CHIP program, which was funded through, among other things, the Community Development Block Grant over at HUD at the federal level in partnership with what was then WSOS, now Great Lakes Community Action Partnership, or GLCAP as they go by. The program provided for home repair services at owner-occupied homes. At the time, the program allowed for partial forgiveness of up to 80% of these repair funds, essentially a grant, with just a little bit of leftover to be paid back, a loan. That assumes the owner continued residence of the property for 10 years. And at the end of the 10 years, there would be a small outstanding balance, 20% of the repair costs, owed to the city, which holds a mortgage on the property per the program rules. The mortgage would then be released upon payment of the outstanding balance. Those outstanding balances ran between $2,000 and probably no more than $10,000. Today, recipients enjoy almost 100% forgiveness, up from the original 80%, and after just 5 years of residency, as opposed to 10 back in the city administrator. So it was originally 10, today it's 5 at 100% forgiveness. So all the beneficiaries of the city administrative program back then, I believe, are now senior citizens today. A kind gentleman residing on Fremont Road approached the city as he seeks to leverage his property to address his and his wife's financial needs of today. And the gentleman's payoff is just over $5,600. After more than a decade living in that home on Fremont Road, I'm pretty sure they've lived there much longer, perhaps their whole life. He shared the payoff in the city-held mortgage is delaying a financial transaction with leveraging his property values today, which we all know are elevated. So I inquired with the program over in Fremont, former WSOS. The city can choose to waive the payoff for this gentleman and all beneficiaries of the city administrator program at the time. Those original home repair costs were never borne by the city. Funds would not be returned to the city, but to the current CHIP program over at Fremont. But there's also no detrimental impact to the continuation of today's CHIP program, I was advised. So I discussed this with the mayor, the opportunity to provide significant relief to numerous seniors living in our community, and he wholeheartedly agreed with me. that the city should take action, waive these outstanding balances and accounts, and release all such mortgages held by the city. And so it's my hope that the city council agrees with me. I understand Mr. Trolley has a motion, but I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Trolley.
make a motion that the mayor, auditor, law director, and safety service director prepare and execute any legal instruments and other documents as required to waive the CHIP outstanding balances and release such mortgages currently on file and prepare for council any legislation as necessary.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cobus. Any discussion? Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Troy, seconded by Mrs. Cobus to waive the CHIP outstanding balance as he stated in his motion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Richard Morgan,
Yes.
Kelly Gagel,
Yes.
Kathy King,
Yes.
Pat Hovis,
Yes.
Jerry Trolley,
Yes.
Beth Gilman,
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Said motion is approved. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Right.
Beal.
Wonderful program.
Anything else? Any other questions?
I have a question on this. Will this be continuing in the future? Will we have another CHIP program, or do you know what?
It's been administered by the county since the city handed it over. It worked out better that way, and yeah, no intention of returning it to the way it was. So once this is done, it would be effectively done for our portion.
For our portion? Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Move on to the treasurer's report.
All right, through the July 31st, 2024, our collections are on the bed tax, $163,566.87, which approximate 50% of our expected revenue. Our dock tax is at $20,441.89, which approximates 100% of our revenue. And the rental registrations is at $58,500, which represents roughly 1.95% of our expected revenue of $30,000.
Thank you. Does anyone on council have a question for the treasurer? Okay. Law director report.
Nothing today, Madam President.
Okay. Safety service director.
Nothing tonight unless you have some questions.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Colston?
Yes, Madam President.
Couldn't help it, so.
I know we've been told that the roads will be done by November, and Erie, I can see doing that. What's the time frame on the underground? When do you see that maybe happening?
You're gonna really put me out there.
Yes, I am.
I think starting next spring.
Next spring, okay. Are bid packages getting put together, or I imagine?
Yeah, all the plans, obviously you have to go through EPA and you have to go through all
All
that.
the same
all
as we did for the
same
roads.
things, USDA and everything like that.
Right.
The original plan was to bid sometime the end of this year, the end of November, December type range.
Right.
And then obviously dotting the i's, crossing the t's, and then moving forward then. So that's still the plan on schedule that I received probably 2 weeks ago. We talked with the client.
Great answer.
Mr. Trolley, can I just amend one thing that you said?
Sure.
Which was just like the road project. The road project was relatively simple financially. So there's just one funder there, USDA Rural Development. The water sewer portion is kind of broken up across numerous agencies. USDA, yes, but also Army Corps of Engineers has a little portion, thanks to Marcy Kaptur. The US EPA, there was a federal earmark, thanks to Sheriff Brown and Marcy Kaptur, that's in there. So there are more agencies in play. So there's more components moving around. The dollars are all secured.
Right,
That's not
right.
an issue.
But the approval and
Yeah.
also, I'd like to say thank you for that grant for the trees. My recommendation, we only plant where the roads have been completed. We wait, most of the underground's on the east side, right?
First part's gonna be taking down trees and all the trim.
Right. I understand that. Yeah, by the time that's all done, our project will probably be almost completed, so never mind about the plan.
I do
Okay.
have one more thing if I could throw out there. The Army Corps of Engineers, or the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers out of Buffalo wants to do a ribbon cutting for the wetlands. They will relinquish that later this year. As you saw, we have cut down a little bit of stuff outside of the marsh itself. The snow fence will be coming down. It's looking like October 10th when they're gonna make a big deal with a lot of people coming for that. So we'll get you more information, Ms. Ostheimer's on it with them as far as getting out all this stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there. October 10th looks like it's gonna be at 11:30, but I will get back to everybody on that once we finalize it all. Thank you, that is it.
Okay, thank you. Move on to city staff reports. Mr. Chrisman.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to extend a thank you to Stephen Rucker and the Code Compliance Department from Sandusky. Without their help, I would not have been able to get the exterior maintenance code inspection program to where it is right now in such a rapid time. They provided a great deal of information and guidance, and the success of our program will really start with their help. So that was great. On Thursday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I will be at the Yellow House Bakery for coffee with code. If anybody has any questions regarding exterior property maintenance codes or inspections or enforcement or anything related to it, they're welcome to come down. I will gladly buy them a cup of coffee and they can sit and talk with me about it. Then beyond that, next week, I will officially start doing some inspections. I've already started addressing some of the properties that are known concerns. I'll continue to address those as a priority and incorporate the inspections through downtown as the first zones to get inspections outside of those properties already identified. And that's it.
Appreciate you doing that. That'll help. I think that will eliminate a lot of things. I mean, it's a progress, I know that. So we just appreciate you jumping on it, getting everything moving as fast as you have. So. Acting Fire Chief Gutman, do you have anything this evening?
I just came to answer any questions you might have.
Council, any questions? Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. Finance and Service? Nothing tonight. Thank you. Environment, Public Works, Mr. Trolley.
Mr. Colson, do you see a need for a meeting in the near future? It's been a while.
Probably should have one and have
Okay.
communication, so.
Before the next council meeting.
2 weeks from now?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
At
What time?
5:15.
5:50?
5:15.
Thank you.
Safety Services, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you, Matt. I have no report or anything to bring up at a particular time. Thank you.
Thank you. Economic and Community Development, Ms. Miller.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Okay. Move on to correspondence. Under correspondence, we have Tax Incentive Review Board meeting, RAR Hospitality, July 10, 2024 meeting minutes. Tax Incentive Review Board, Shepherd's Crossing, Buckeye Communities 76, July 10, 2024 meeting minutes. Amended Certificate of Estimated Resources, July 2024. And an email from Amy Makowski, Assistant State Auditor, dated July 26, 2024. Attachment, Ohio Auditor of the State, Faber, Summary of Services, July 15, 2024. Attachment, Entrance Conference Agenda. Attachment, Entrance Conference Agenda, Attachment Network, Firewall, IT Administration. Attachment, Entrance Conference Agenda, City of Port Clinton, Ottawa County fiscal year ending December 31, 2023 through July 24, 2024. Architectural Review Board, July 11, 2024. Approved meeting minutes. Planning Commission, July 11, 2024. Approved meeting minutes. Port Clinton City Council, Legislative Body, Port Clinton, Ohio, August 6, 2024. Mayor Michael Snyder, complaint for removal of Carl Kobel from Civil Service Commission. Does council wish to take any action as to the correspondence?
Madam President, I move all of these be accepted.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We have a motion by Ms. Phillips, a second by Mr. Troy to approve the correspondence as listed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Correspondence hereby approved.
May I say something about these? Some of these, I read all of these extra meeting notes that come to us. I don't know who does, but it's amazing what kind of information is in there. You can find out and put together things that you didn't know were happening because you don't read them. These actually are worthwhile and they're very brief and you can get through them really fast. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to readings of ordinances and resolutions. We have no third reading. Under second reading, we have ordinance 14-24. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only, ordinance 14-24?
Ordinance number 14-24, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Safety and Service to enter into agreements to purchase necessary capital equipment and supplies for the Port Clinton Fire Department from the funds appropriated from the American Rescue Plan Act Fund and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 14-24?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the third reading of ordinance 14-24.
Thank you. Do I have a second? A second. Thank you, Mrs. Hovis. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Hovis, to waive three required readings, the third reading as to ordinance 14-24. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Kelly Gangel? Yes. Kathy King?
Yes.
Pat Hovis?
Yes.
Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yes.
Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. This third required reading is hereby waived. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 14-24?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
we make a motion that we retain an emergency clause.
Thank you.
Ordinance 14-24 was introduced.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Hovis. Any discussion? We have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Hovis, to retain the emergency clauses to ordinance 14-24. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yes.
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Kathy King?
Yes.
Kelly Gangel? Yes. Pat Hovis?
Thank you. Motion carried by a vote of 7-0. The emergency clause is hereby retained as to ordinance 14-24. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 14-24?
Madam President,
Mr.
make a
Trolley.
motion that we adopt ordinance 14-24.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I'll second. Thank you, Mrs. Oaks. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Hovis, to adopt ordinance 14-24. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Kathy King?
Yes.
Pat Hovis? Yes. Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yep.
Kelly Gangel? Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Ordinance 14-24 is hereby adopted. We'll move on to first readings. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 15-24?
Ordinance number 15-24, an ordinance establishing the salaries for full-time firefighters of the city of Port Clinton, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 15-24?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the three required readings of ordinance 15-24.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Hovis. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Hovis, to waive the three required readings as to ordinance 15-24. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Kathy King?
Yes.
Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yes.
Kelly Gangel? Yes. Pat Hovis?
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. The three required readings as to ordinance 15-24 are hereby waived. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 15-24?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
I'd like to make a motion that we retain an emergency clause in ordinance 15-24.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Hovis. Any discussion? I have a motion to retain the emergency clauses in ordinance 15-24 by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Hovis. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Pat Hovis?
Yes.
Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Kathy King?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yes.
Kelly Gangel? Yes. Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. The emergency clause is hereby retained. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 15-24?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley?
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 15-24.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Do we look at other communities? Are we like similar in pay than them? Or are we doing a good job in like paying our firefighters? In other words, like, you know.
Oh yeah, with their current wages, yeah, we're challenging with a lot of the nearby areas.
Okay, I just wanted
Yes.
to make sure it was, you know, like,
Yeah.
because I don't, yeah, okay. That was my question.
I have a question, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Does that matter?
The cat.
If you, just to go on, if you look at the previous ordinance into the other ordinance, the reasoning for that was just because the funding wasn't there originally.
Right.
We were actually paying much higher than the area
Okay,
for
that's
for
what I
our
wanted.
emergency services. So this is to be able to scale back down so we can stay within our budget.
Okay.
And I've got a question for the law director. On the ordinance, the title summary part is different than what's on our agenda.
The agenda was incorrect.
The agenda was- okay,
Because it was sent to me,
that's
and
fine.
I forgot to put this the one that you
That's fine.
received.
It's just
It was
making sure.
revised after I initial.
All right, thank you, just making sure.
So the one on the ordinance is correct?
Or the ordinance is correct, the agenda has some added verbiage that's not necessary.
Okay.
And the clerk read the.
She read the ordinance, the
Correct.
ordinance
I read the
match, not the agenda, so.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarification. Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, second by Mrs. Hovis to adopt ordinance 15-24. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Kelly Gagel?
Yes.
Pat Hovis?
Yes.
Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yes.
Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Kathy King?
Yes.
Motion is approved by a vote of 7-0. Ordinance 15-24 is hereby adopted. We move on to business from the floor. Mr. Morgan?
Nope, nothing today.
Nothing, okay. Mrs. Gable? Ms. Phillips?
Thank you, Madam President. I asked the mayor earlier, I'm already starting to see signs in the boulevard rather than in people's yards. We have an ordinance against that, do we not?
Yes, if you contact the police department, they will remove them.
Okay. Thank you.
You just have to give them an address where they're at, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mrs. Hovis?
Nothing behind that.
Mr. Trolley?
Yes. Chief, how are we doing in putting the equipment all lined up to purchase? Do you have a
All
wish
three
list?
vendors are notified and they know that we're within the last, I thought we still had another reading going forward, so I still had them extended out 3 more weeks. But they'll be happy to receive correspondence from me.
Okay,
Going
what kind of
forward.
lead time is it to get the new equipment? Why I'm asking is, are we in trouble with our turnout here? I mean, if
Not
somebody's
as,
hurt,
so, our turnout gear is in a good place-ish. Anybody that will be going interior firefighting is wearing NFPA compliant gear.
okay.
Where we run into trouble is more or less the air that we're breathing.
Well, we can get that from mutual aid.
That, well, no, actually Bay Township comes to us to fill their tanks.
Oh,
So currently our Cascade system, it's out of hydrostatic date, it's out of service date, it hasn't been serviced in 4 years. And none of the filters have been changed, which must be done.
yeah.
So when Breathing Air Systems came to service it this year, it was advised that we update the system, which is why we came with this capital purchase, because truthfully, we don't want our guys breathing
No.
dirty air. We'd rather them have filtered, clean air.
Well, those funds could have gone to a better place. And
I
how's
appreciate
our ISO rating? You okay?
We'll find out in 4 to 6 months. So,
Okay, one other item, Friday nights, I believe it's at 7, is Port Clinton football preview at the stadium. And the first game is next Friday. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. King?
I just want to talk about Halloween because I love it, but also it's never too early. I don't care. So the Greater PC Area Arts Council has a lot of interesting activities going on in Halloween, so I suggest you check it out, and I'll be talking about it more.
Thank you. Mrs. Gilman?
To back her up, we did talk about a Christmas tree earlier today.
Yeah, hey.
So I think Miss King's right. Nothing else, Madam President.
Thank you. Seeing no further business, I want to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I move this August body adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. King. I have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mrs. King to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign.
Aye.
Thank you, we're adjourned.